All right, we are live. We are live. Welcome back to the Cdub Cards channel. It's been a while since I've done a live stream, but I'm just looking forward to being able to talk with the card professor. I'm going to be bringing him on in a little bit. We're going to talk about a little bit about NBA, a little bit about NFL, a little bit about cards, obviously. So let me go ahead and bring him in, and I just want to say thanks for joining us. So here we go. Let me go ahead and bring him in here. Hey, how's it going, man?
Hi.
It's been a while. How have you been?
Empty without you.
Oh, that's funny. You're a funny guy.
No, I'm
You're a
serious.
funny
Yeah,
guy.
empty without you.
Oh, I'm
Now my
sorry,
heart
man.
is full. We got a live going.
Yeah, hopefully we can just have a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy, so really, really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and talk. I know we have some things that we talked about, some topics. But maybe just a quick how you been. I know you had some you went to some shows recently, I think, if I'm following you on Instagram, which I am. So maybe just a small recap of how you've been, and then we can maybe get into the topics.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been good. I'm winding down the semester I teach, and in terms of cards, I've been in a little bit of a lull,
All right, all right,
and I mean that's fine. That I think that's expected for me at this time of year. Um, so I would say October was a very active month for me. I mean, everybody wanted to get basketball cards, so uh, my basketball cards were gone. And so then I just kind of had some maybe, and I put in quotes, less liquid inventory, less liquid cards, meaning like there's just less desirable. For example, like I have a lot of Stephen Curry cards, which generally they're desirable in the Bay Area where I'm at, but he's not hot, right? Um, he wasn't hot to begin the season,
right,
and he hasn't been. I mean, he's been doing really well, but he's not like hot. So I have some LeBron James, which some of it I've been hoarding, um, and some of it I bring out, and so he's kind of hot. Um, so I guess I'm in a little bit of a lull in terms of activity. Um, Although I do still have like some action at shows and whatnot. There was a big show in mid-November called the San Francisco Card Show. So that was a really, really, really big show. Shout out my partners from Atlanta. We had Money Mike, Mr. Get and Flip It, and Wiz the Collector. So
nice.
it was good to see them out here on the West Coast, well, in particular the Bay Area. I mean, they've been to LA a few times. It was, quick side note here. Let me just do a quick side note. I found them on Merlin's channel. It-
Oh, really?
yeah, he had done a video, and it was like a long line, and everyone was wearing masks back then. I was like, yeah, I'm so proud of you two. You guys were wearing masks even outdoors. So, anyways, I found them, and I just started chopping up with them. So, um, they've been to LA, they've been to Burbank, but it was their first time coming out to a Bay Area show. So that was good. Kicking it with them and chopping up with them. So, I mean, if my cards aren't moving, then I'm in the community, and to me, that's often more than enough.
Right, right, definitely. All right, so we talked a little. I know you talked a little about basketball cards, maybe some guys that are hot and whatnot. Um, what do you think about Zion? Obviously, he missed last season. There was a lot of talk about him. Honestly, there was some negativity. People were kind of critiquing, like, okay, how good of a shape is this guy going to be in? Is he going to be healthy? All this type of stuff. He comes back. He seems to be having a great start. I know he had that little small. I think Jordan Clarkson like blocked him, and he had that little back injury for a while, but he was able to get back. I think quick from that. I think he's playing well. What do you think about his return, and has it played out the way that you thought it would?
So I think his return has been um, right on par. I mean, he's got great field goal percentages. He's
Right.
averaging over 20 a game. I think that's kind of what's expected out of him in his first, I guess, full season, right?
Right, right,
Or I mean, the hope is that he can play a full season. So his first like potentially full season, like okay, great, you're having 23 games. So I feel like that's on par. Um,
right.
I will say that his prices coming into the season because of his hype, the
Mm,
expectations were that he was going to average 30. So I think his prices have come down, I guess, because he hasn't been averaging 30. Or maybe his prices being so high, the expectation he was going to average 35 or 40. I mean, he has so much hype, right? The most hype since LeBron.
sure.
And so with that said, I mean, with the hype, there's going to come the value. And so I guess he hasn't met. I mean, I'm not sure what people were expecting, but I mean, at those prices, that's like you're expecting like 35, 40 a game. It's like, so in terms of his real life expectation, okay, I think he's right on par. But in terms of hobby expectation and what was baked into his prices, hasn't quite met that yet.
Right, right. No, I hear you. So really quick, I just want to go ahead and say hi to the people in the chat. We have a couple people here. We have Jacked in. Hey, thanks for joining. We have big big G Dub. That's my mom right there.
Hey, what's up, moms?
I just gave her that name, G Dub. Thanks for joining. And if you guys have any questions, just feel free to throw the question in the chat, and we'll try to get to that as we continue on. So,
Okay, so let me
um,
continue
yeah, go
with
ahead.
uh the other thing about Zion is the Pelicans went to the playoffs. Well, they actually made it out of the play-in and they won a couple playoff games in the first round. That's all without Zion.
Mm,
And so it's just like, oh well, Zion, he's gonna be on a playoff team now. And so that excitement and hype was definitely there. They're playing above average, they're not like top of the conference, right? They're not top of the league. I think in terms of the team's expectations, they're probably right around what was expected, you know, uh, maybe like a 6th or 7th seed at best. They're kind
yeah.
of right around there,
No, I
right
think they're
above
actually a little
500.
higher, but
Oh, they are? Oh, I'm tripping. My bad.
yeah, they're a little higher, but it's still early, right? We still have about 60 games left in the season. We all know it's a long season. But I think they're right behind Phoenix as far as their standings on the West.
Man, I'm gonna look that up real quick, man.
Go
See,
for
I
it.
can't I can't just like stand here and like talk like I know and when info's at my fingertips. Oh, they're number 2.
Yeah,
I'm hella tripping. They're number 2 in the West. But I
yeah,
mean, the thing is, numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, they're all within like 2 games of each other. So um good, really good. It's great to see a young team playing well, and especially great for the NBA that a big name young guy is playing really well. Um, so in terms of back to the card market, I mean, yeah, his prices were baked in at like 35, 40 a game. It's kind of like the prices of Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow at the beginning of the season.
mm,
It's like, okay, we're expecting them to throw 50 touchdowns in a season. Like,
right, right. Yeah, that was always. I mean, I know we talked about this before, but having a lot of hype and these crazy values on some of these rookie cards when some of these guys haven't really done anything, or really had a chance to really prove anything on the field, our court rather. But what do you think about okay, I know we talked a little bit about Zion and his health. I think the most I looked it up, the most he's played in one season is like 60 games. I think 61 games, something like that. How do you think this year is going to go for him? Do you think he'll be able to get close to that or more this year?
so I know he lost a lot of weight,
Yeah.
and after the season was over, you could see him dunking, doing through the legs dunks, or he's out with the kids, at the gym and doing through the legs dunks, and they're like, "Oh my goodness!" Right? So
Right.
um, that was like very promising to see. I mean, as a fan of basketball, I just want to see the young man do good. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And so I'm
Yeah, I
gonna
hear you.
put that out there. I'm gonna hope for that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
hope that Zion is gonna take off. Now, if I were to put a percentage likelihood on it, I'm not sure, uh, like realistically, I'm not even gonna say a number realistically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My realistic number is lower than what my hope number is. My hope number is 95. 95% that he's gonna have a healthy season. Like that's my hope number. My
Right.
realistic number is like lower than that. So I'm not gonna significantly lower than. So I'm gonna I don't need to put that energy out there. But I'm hoping that, great young talent can come up, and so that the future of the NBA will be in good hands. I mean, right now it's looking like Giannis. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah.
And then we're not sure who else.
Right. Right. No, Giannis is definitely playing well. That team is playing well. So I think they're definitely going to be one of the top guys in the East. Um, what do you think about? Okay, I know we talked a little bit about. You mentioned Steph Curry, right? I know they won the championship. What do you think their season's going to look like? They kind of had a rocky start, right? Not the start that maybe people expected, but what do you think about them? Like, how do you think their season's going to go as we progress or get closer to the middle towards the end?
So let me preface my response with I'm a big time Warriors fan. So I just want to preface that response. So
Sure.
and I'm going to try to respond to this as objectively as possible. But to be human is to be biased. So, with that said, um, I think they're right where they want to be. Play
Mm.
500 ball while you figure it out. When I mean 500 ball, just win one, lose one, win one, lose one while you
Right.
figure it out. So the rotations weren't. Well, sorry, I was going to say they weren't working. The rotations were in development, right?
Mm. Yeah.
um, at the beginning of this, so it was very clear that the starting lineup was going to be fine, and the bench development was going to be the big question mark. At the beginning of the season, Moses Moody was playing with confidence. Um, let me start over. The first few games, Wiseman was playing with confidence, and then
Mm.
he lost it. And then Moody was playing with confidence, and now he's not even on the floor. Now it's Kaminga who's getting playing time because he's like the defensive stopper, and he's going to cut to the basket, and um, every now and then he'll have like a cool post move and be aggressive. So while the young guys kind of figure out where their confidence is and uh, where their shot is and defensive rotations and then being aggressive on defense, being aggressive when it's appropriate on offense, um, then the team is just going to continue to play 500 ball. And as long as the team is within striking distance of a 5 or 6 seed, then I don't think the Warriors really kind of care about that. Meaning, like, all right, fine, we'll be in the 6 seed. Nope, no problem. We don't need home court advantage. Like that's the sentiment and that's the confidence that 4-time champions are going to have. Like, okay, yeah, we just need to get in the playoffs. We'll try to avoid the play-in, right?
Right.
So I think in terms of like, are there missing pieces? Maybe, probably. Um, might a trade like John Collins has been rumored for a trade. Might a trade for that be used for John Collins? Like maybe, who knows? Um, Wiseman's getting his time down in the G League, so good job, young man. Get your swagger back. And then the last thing I want to say is, um, he might be the enemy of the league, and you have a big PC of this guy, Draymond Green, but he's like really. I mean, you already know his basketball IQ is really, really big, right?
Yeah.
And he was saying, I want to shout out FD, rolling with FD. He always posts good stuff, especially at the Warriors. But Draymond Green was saying for the young guys that are on losing teams, they get to blossom, they get to play their own game. But for young guys who are on winning teams, they have to fit into the system because it's win championship now, right?
Right. Right.
And so someone like Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody, they have to fit into the system and they can't just free flow and develop the game that they want to develop or that's like more natural to them. So it's a different type of it's still a transition from into the pros, but if you're seeing Shea Gilgeous Alexander drop in 30 and you're a young guy, like, oh man, I wish I had all these opportunities. But you're playing behind Steph Curry. You're playing behind
Right.
Klay Thompson, and you're playing only 15 minutes off the bench. So then your role isn't to try to drop 30, 35 like Shea Gilgeous Alexander. Your role is to keep the game close, play tough-nosed defense, rebound, move without the ball, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool,
Hey,
man.
wait, wait,
So,
hey, 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 hey. As a Laker fan, I want to
yes,
ask you the same question.
about the Lakers.
Yes, sir.
Well, definitely was a rough start, obviously. Um, I know that they've played well. They lost tonight, but the last 10 games or so prior to today, I think they won like 8 out of 10. So it's good to see Anthony Davis, starting to play a little bit better as well. Um, and then I know Westbrook's coming off the bench and he seems to be doing well. I don't know. I think it's good to see them like get a good chunk of wins. And I'm just hoping that they can continue to kind of build more chemistry. That's kind of like what we talked about. Um, there's a lot of new guys, right? A lot of new guys on the team. The last few years, they've been making a lot of changes to the team. So hopefully they can get some time to, like I said, build that chemistry and get some more wins. I don't know. They're really low in the standings. They're still pretty low in the Western Conference right now, but I'm hoping that they'll have a better season than last year. Um, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I really like the move for Westbrook to the bench. I mean, I know he was, or the word is he didn't want to move to the bench, but he's like thriving now. And I
Yeah,
forgot who I was talking to. I might have been talking to QCLA Sports Cards, or I forgot who, but it's just like he's thriving off the bench, and he can, like, you can cook the second team. You know what I mean?
right.
And you can still get your minutes and still make an impact on the game, but now you're like your impact's bigger because you're playing against the second team and you're getting to the rack and you're shooting better percentages and you're getting your confidence, right? So I've always been a Westbrook fan, so I'm happy for the young man, and um, you know I'm also a big LeBron fan too. I'm not a Lakers fan, but I'm a big LeBron and Westbrook fan, so I'm rooting for them.
Nice, nice. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, so we got a question. If you don't mind, I'm gonna throw this in the chat. Um, Jackton says I've been trying to sell MLB cards on eBay, but I know nothing about NBA cards. I acquired a bunch of NBA cards. What would be a good way to figure sell values? Most are from the 80s, 90s. Um, do you wanna answer the question? What do you think?
Yeah, it'd be the same way that he sells MLB cards. So, and I'm not
I,
sure how he does it. So here's how I do it. I look at what they sold for on
yeah.
eBay. Yeah, I look at what they sold for on eBay. But if you have like Michael Jordan cards are very liquid. When I mean liquid, I mean desirable, easily to sell, or easy to sell. So, and I bet there's a lot of sales. So if you have an 89 hoops Michael Jordan, you can just look it up and how much it sold on eBay. Um, and then that's how you can price your cards. On the other hand, you can just list it as an auction to see what happens, which is what I did when I first got back into the hobby. I
Hmm.
just listed a bunch of cards for. I needed that feedback. I needed recent feedback, so I had to. I mean, I sold a bunch of $1 cards. Some of them were 15. A couple went for 100. I was like, hey, that's what's up. So
Nice.
that's what I would recommend. Um, and then if they're like commons, meaning like it's a player that not really like people maybe might not want. Let me think. A Ricky Pierce card. There you go. The sixth man of the year, Ricky Pierce. Then what do you do with that? So with those, you might want to like he played on the Bucks at least of the card I'm thinking of. So you could put a Bucks team set together, or a
Hmm.
Bucks Milwaukee Bucks slot, and you put a bunch of Milwaukee Bucks players together on that, and then you put them together, and then you can say, here's a Milwaukee Bucks lot from the 80s and 90s. Or if you have a lot of James Worthy cards, for some reason you have a lot of James Worthy cards, you can just put 10 James Worthy cards in one. Let's call it a James Worthy lot.
Hmm.
So I'm actually going to go through my 1990s collection, which is actually very small. And I know I have a lot of Albert / Joey Bell, so I'm going to start putting those lots together, taking pictures, and then listing them on eBay. I'm not going to list them as an auction. I'll list them as buy it now. And I have some random Ken Griffey Jr. cards because I collected him a lot too. So I'm going to put, okay, I might put all my 1992 Ken Griffey cards in one lot. I put all my 1991 Ken Griffey cards in one lot. So those are different ways that you can list older cards, especially especially if like you have a lot. So let me just repeat the 3 different ways: team lots, player lot, or player lot by year.
Now, why do you think lots seem to be attractive? Like I've seen that. I've seen people buy lots. What do you think it is about lots? Is it just like the collector might be looking for that, or like what are some reasons why that would be a good way to do it? Just I don't know if that question makes sense, but what
It
is it
does make
about
sense.
that makes it attractive, I guess?
It does make sense. So the first thing, you nailed it. I mean, that's just what collectors are looking for. And then number 2, it's like a bang for your buck, meaning like, oh well, I mean, I can get 10 cards or I can get 15 cards, and it's 50 cents or $1, then I don't have to search 15 other listings
Got
to
it.
get 15 cards. There's a bunch right here. And I mean, yeah, sometimes you might get a direct message saying, can I just buy that card? Can you make a separate listing for that? Sometimes you get that too.
Hmm.
So I would say those are 2 of the big reasons. Now, I will credit that I like learned that by watching a bunch of YouTube sports cards content. And
Nice,
I can't remember who I saw it from, but I was just like, oh, okay, these are things that you can do.
nice. All right, cool. So, why don't we switch over to talk a little bit about the NFL? I believe we're more than halfway through the season. We're in December. Um, I don't know. It was I feel like it was a interesting start to the season. Um, some of the teams that I thought were going to play well weren't necessarily playing well. But um, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
So, heading into the season, the biggest hype guys were Burrow, Herbert, and Josh Allen. So, Josh Allen is actually at the top of the conference, and they are the number 1 seed. So, I guess in a sense, he's met expectations in a sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he has like the second most total yards and the second most total touchdowns, something along the lines of that. But Patrick Mahomes is playing very well, actually playing better, and is the favorite for MVP. But he didn't have so much hype and excitement going in because he wasn't a new face anymore, right? He already
Right.
has his MVP. He's already got his Super Bowl MVP. So it's just kind of like, oh, I guess we don't have to get excited about him anymore.
Hmm.
Um, the other 2 names that have really like, in a sense, exceeded expectations, and as a result, their card prices have gone up, is Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa. So Jalen Hurts, it was actually pretty well documented that Jalen Hurts was going to have a really easy first 4 games, and sure enough, went 4-0, right?
Hmm.
Um, I'm not sure how many people expected the defense to play this well, and I mean they're 11-1. The other thing that's related, that was related to kind of the expectations, or Jalen Hurts kind of projected expectations, is that the NFC East last year and years past hasn't been very strong. Like it's just kind of like no one's got a winning record. And
Hmm.
this year, everyone, or at least right now, everyone's got a winning record, and it's possible all 4 teams are gonna like make the playoffs, and they got winning records. So I mean, the whole thing of like NFC East sucks, not right now.
Hmm.
And then Jalen Hurts just like 11-1, and he's like doing well. Like some players are like they do well, or sorry, some teams do well, but the quarterback's not doing very well.
Hmm.
Not the case with Jalen Hurts. Like he is actually like playing very, very, very well. So him and then Tua, although Tua had some scary injuries, Tua has been playing very well. So Tua has some new. He has Tyreek Hill, right? And
Right.
Tyreek Hill's good. Tyreek Hill's hella good. And so those two teams are doing definitely better than expected, and the quarterbacks are playing well in addition to that. So, um, uh, once the playoffs get here, we never know what happens. I mean, uh, that's what happened with the LA Dodgers, and that's what happened with the New York Yankees, right? You can have a really strong season, and then
Mhm.
you just might not perform well under the playoff pressure.
Right.
So, if Jalen Hurts faces Tom Brady in the playoffs again, then are we gonna have a repeat of last year, right? uh, so that's kind of like how I'm seeing the sport or the football landscape. Like all the talk is about Hurts, all the talk is about Tua. I mean, in terms of MVP, the talk is about Mahomes, and the expectation is that Mahomes is probably going to go to the Super Bowl at this point.
Mm. Now, the other thing too about NFL, I mean, I know this was early on, but Trey Lance had that crazy injury. There was a lot of hype about him um, coming in to the NFL. What's wrong? What's wrong? You all right?
That wasn't pretty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, a lot of hype. I saw a lot of hype like on Instagram, seeing people talk about him before the season, and then he gets hurt, and then people want to make all these posts about these meme posts about collectors holding his cards and how the values go down. But hopefully another guy who is able to get better and heal from the injury, and I wish him all the luck as well. Um, let's see
Let,
what else.
here, let me talk about Trey Lance real quick.
Oh, go for
I
it.
mean, he has so much hype because 49ers almost made the Super Bowl last year, and we got a new young quarterback who has an opportunity to lead a great defense, or sorry, be a part of a team with a great defense and make a deep playoff run. So that's like where the hype comes from. It's the potential, it's the ceiling. Um, and so right after he gets injured, prices like fall off a cliff. Um, and they like kept going down for a nice month and a half. Uh, and so I started buying. I bought
Nice.
some Trey Lance. I bought some Trey Lance with the expectation that 49ers, that I'm a big fan of, um, were not going to re-sign Jimmy Garoppolo
Hmm.
and past this year. So they restructured he had one more year on his contract, so they restructured it. And so he still has, he's still got the rest of this year. But my expectation was he's not coming back next year. I guess at this point, the rumors are he might come back, but only as a backup, and that this will be Trey Lance's team moving forward.
Hmm.
I do follow like the beat writers, 49ers beat writers, and I'm what are they talking about? What's coming out of camp and whatnot. Less so, I guess those are rumors until it's officially said by the coaches and front office. But if the beat writer, I'm just kind of like curious, what they're saying. So to me, it feels like that it's gonna be Trey's team, and so I've been buying his dip. Yeah,
Nice. Well, hopefully that works out for you.
thank you.
Coming into next season, or next year. All right, so let's see here. So we're in December, right? We're getting towards the end of the year. So with that, when we hit the new year, everyone always focuses on New Year's resolutions, or maybe you can say goals or whatever. What in regards to maybe collecting, um, or maybe even certain people you want to buy, do you have any goals for next year and the hobby, um, that you'd want to share or talk about?
I have four here. I actually have four written down, which I've been kind of thinking about for a while. Um, so the first goal that I have is all actions point towards a grail chase.
Nice.
Um,
I like that.
so I mean, I have two grails. I have acquired two grails so far. It's Jerry Rice rookie, and Michael Jordan 93 refractor.
Nice.
So there are 3 more grails that I'm after. One is a Jordan test refractor, a 95 test refractor, and these are I'm looking for them all in gem mint condition, preferably SGC 98 or BGS 95.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'll also take SGC 10 as well. Okay, so the 3 more that I'm looking for: the Jordan test refractor, a Curry refractor. There's only one refractor of Curry, and this is rookie one where he's like this.
Okay.
And then a Ricky Henderson rookie. So everything that I'm going to be doing in the hobby is to move me towards that.
Got it.
So that is one of my goals. Are you? Do you want to take turns with goals, or should I?
Oh, you know what? Why don't you list them off, and then I'll share mine after.
Okay. So my second goal is like I'm still in the middle of a reset. What up, Joseph? I'm still in the middle of a hobby reset. Meaning like
so what does that mean?
I'm just kind of redoing my collection.
Nice. Okay.
And so my goal number 2 is to even out my long, mid, and short-term cards. Currently very heavy on the long and mid-term right now. And I guess that I should write this down, that I need to determine how much I would like to be into, what percentage of my portfolio I'd like it to be in short, mid, and long. So I better write that down. Determine percentage in each long, mid, and short. Okay, good. All right. Third goal.
Let's hear it.
Be patient with finding deals.
That's a good one.
So there was a card that just was for sale today, and I could have bought it, but I did some research, and it was an auction, and it was the lowest price was $40, and I was like, let me look at how much it's been going for. I saw it was going for 30 beforehand. You know what? Even though this card doesn't come up often, I'm just gonna wait until it comes to 30. Okay, so granted that's a $10 difference, but that whole mindset I want to apply it across every kind of dollar amount. So this means that I start earlier with seasonal buying, meaning like it's basketball season, but it's not baseball season. Seasonal buying, right?
Yeah.
And then I am buying baseball, so I just want to put that out there. And then also budget appropriately to buy multiple seasons. Like basketball and football both have the off seasons overlap a few months.
Right.
Yeah, a couple months. So make sure I budget appropriately for that. Okay. So those are 3 goals that I have.
Nice. Those are good. So all right. So I'll go and share mine. Just want to say what's up to Joseph. Thanks for joining. Joseph also says buy in off season, sell in season. Okay. All right. And so let me go ahead and go to my goals. Mine may not be as clear or defined as yours, but the first thing that I want to do is obviously I just want to continue to have fun in the hobby. I just want to make sure that no matter what I'm doing, it stays fun, and that if it's not, then I'll make adjustments, if that makes sense. So that's definitely one thing for me. I don't know if this is considered a goal, but something I want to try is I want to try to possibly sell some cards on Whatnot. Now
That's a goal.
I don't have a lot of high end stuff, but I want to be able to try it. Kind of for 2 reasons. One is to kind of, if I can make a little bit of extra money and then use that money to put back into the hobby, then I feel like that's a little smarter than just pulling money out of my own budget to spend. And then the other thing is, being able to potentially connect more with the community, with people coming into a live chat, having more discussions, and possibly growing, like my YouTube channel and all that type of stuff. So just kind of connecting more with the community through that. And then what else do I have here? I haven't necessarily picked it, but I want to kind of narrow down either some certain sets or like inserts that I want to put together. I know this past year I wanted to try to do like that. I think we called it a run, right? Like if you try to
That's
get
it.
like a player, like for example, like a Kobe Prism run, all years of Kobe. Um,
That's dope.
and then also like select. I haven't. I still have a lot of cards to get. I have a few for those. Um, but if there's so many great inserts out there that I've seen, and it's just like, man, I need to narrow it down. Like, okay, this is really what I want to go after. That way, if I narrow it down, it's kind of easier to focus on it, and then maybe potentially easier to achieve. Right. So those are the goals that I have for next year.
Excellent goals. Excellent goals. I love them.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I know one other thing. This is not necessarily a goal. I think I'm definitely going to be there. Unless anything major happens. Definitely going to go to the next Burbank show. Next year is going to be in February. I would like to plan to go to national. I just don't know if it's going to happen. But I'm just kind of throwing it out there. So those are some of the other thoughts that I had. So
love it. Well, I mean, this year, or sorry, this next Burbank show is actually not going to be in Burbank, California. It's going to be in
true.
Ontario, California. So
Yes.
I guess if you're flying in, it's right outside the airport. And is it closer to you?
Actually, it is. So that's actually a good point. It's a lot closer. So makes it way easier. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Man, had a great time going to that Burbank show last year. I'm sorry, this year, the first one that they put on in August. So um, definitely looking forward to it. I know it's going to be here. I mean, it's in February, but it'll be here soon enough. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one. And
It's the
just
same
even,
weekend of the Super Bowl.
yeah, it is. It is. And just even with that, just connecting more with people, I remember I talked to Mark from Ultimate Pastime. He's on Instagram.
I saw that. I saw the live. It was dope.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, so I talked to him, and even when before I went to the Burbank show, the first one they put on, I was like, hey, you got any advice for me? And he's like, man, just connect and meet more people, So I'm like, okay. And I try to do that and focus on that. And it was awesome. It was really cool just to meet new people, get to know new people who are in the hobby. There's people from all over at Burbank, people from Vegas, people from, out of state. I think someone was there from Hawaii. A few different people all over, right? East Coast, West Coast. So it's really just cool to connect with people all over. So yeah, those are some of the things that are definitely on my mind. Just want to make smarter decisions. Just even kind of like what you said, just even like financially, like I like the one you said about being patient, because when you're in something like this where it's like it's fun, you like it can be hard to like be and stay disciplined. That's what I feel like. So being patient, not just spinning something right away, that's what I want to do. I want to make sure I'm making smart choices. So
FOMO is real. Is that what real?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it was so yeah. The card that I'm talking about was $40. It was a Curry 2014 Prism variation, and that doesn't come up for sale often. Like the last time I saw it for sale was like 2 months ago, and so I'm just like, you know
That's
what?
funny.
Can I? Wait, yeah, you know. Yeah. Okay, fine. Like I'm having this internal battle, right?
Right. No, I hear you. So what do you think? Have you had a lot of experience or any experience with joining any whatnot streams and what do you think about Whatnot? You just want to kind of get your thoughts and your opinion on it.
I have joined 0 Whatnot streams actually.
Okay.
And but I mean some guys locally here, they like do most of their stuff on Whatnot.
Hmm.
Keen definitely is big on Whatnot. He's congratulations on making it past 10,000 items sold. Let's
I
go,
know.
chat.
I saw that. That was crazy, man. That's so many
Um,
items.
and then where's my man Joel and DJ Bite Size. So they do stuff on Whatnot too. And so I was just asking him, like, hey man, what's that like? He's like, okay, I mean, you pretty much just have your phone there, and you can have a little. It's kind of like the equivalent of a card show, meaning like, um, here's your stuff that's available. You have this card, and okay, this is what's available. This is the price on it. I guess you can negotiate live, but then, I mean, you also have the option of doing an auction. So,
Right.
and and apparently you can even have like different times, meaning like the auction can end in 1 minute, possibly less. So, uh, like I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. People do story sales, but I guess this is live. It's not a story sale; it's more live.
Right.
You can
Right.
have a live back and forth negotiation. So I will say that I know plenty of people who buy on Whatnot, and they said that they've caught some steals,
Hmm.
meaning like they
Nice.
got it at great prices.
That's good.
Uh, so in that sense, maybe the seller might not do as well.
Right.
Um, However, because the potential for steals are there, I think there's like a decent amount of buyers ready to go.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's definitely a good point.
Is it?
It is.
Right? Thanks.
No, it definitely is. No, I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I'm gonna, maybe that's something that I'll do in the new year, and maybe even before. We'll see how it goes. Um, so to kind of wrap things up, kind of get towards the end here. Um, did you have a card lesson that you wanted to share with the people today?
I do.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what I want to hear. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the card lesson, and hopefully we can help some people out here.
Okay, great. So, the card lesson that I'm gonna refer to is kind of pricing, in particular, current market values of cards with different grades. Uh, so, generally speaking, and when I mean generally speaking, I'm talking about cards worth $2,000 and less. Uh, the kind of market value, and I put that in quotes, kind of begins and ends with the PSA 10.
Hmm.
So let's I'm gonna pick a nice number, $1,000 for PSA 10.
Okay.
Generally speaking, a PSA 9 should be somewhere between two and a half, uh between a third and a quarter of that. So somewhere, I mean, it's not 100%.
Right.
Somewhere between 250 to 330 bucks,
Okay.
give or take. Okay. And the same, and so that's kind of a ratio. So that's 3x or 4x that triple or quadruple that a PSA 10 is over a 9. Okay.
Okay.
For BGS 95, it's about 50%.
Hmm.
Since BGS 95 has subgrades, I've seen it get as low as 40%. I've seen it get
Wow.
as high as 80%. So if PSA 10 is 1,000, you could generally expect a BGS 9.5 to be worth about 500. But I've seen it go as low as 400 and all the way up as high as 800.
Hmm.
So I
Okay.
mean, it's just kind of give or take. I mean, if the card's rare, it hasn't sold very often. These are some formulas or some general ratios that you can use for estimating. And then the last thing, PSA 8, give or take, is about 80% of a PSA 9. So,
Okay.
okay, if the PSA, if okay, PSA is 1,000, let's say a PSA 9 is 250. So then a PSA 8 should be about 200. But here's the thing: if a PSA 9 is worth 330, then a PSA 8 should be worth about 260. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, definitely worth less. That's for sure.
Right.
And I hear the general percentage is about 80% of a PSA 9. Okay, so the last part of this is raw comps. A raw card
Okay.
can vary depending on condition. You could have a card that's beat up, and then you could have a raw card that's clean.
Sure.
So a raw, oh, I think a baby just walked in. So a raw card hovers somewhere between PSA 8, PSA 9 for cards that are less, for PSA 10s that are less than 2,000. I think when you get into the more expensive cards, these ratios and numbers kind of go all out the window. So, but most cards are under 2,000 anyway. So that's the card lesson there.
Nice. So it's not 100%. You're saying it's kind of give or take. So, so actually, I have a follow up question on this. Not necessarily about. Well, you talked about raw comps, right? So like, if you were to do a trade with somebody, like say it's only raw cards, do you go in already knowing, okay, what are all these cards comping at, or do you just kind of have a best guess? Because I know there's some people who are strict to the comp, and then some people who are like, oh, I don't really need the comp. Like they feel like they know what this card is worth, and maybe just because of their experience, or they've been in the industry for that long. What is your take on that? Like, how would you approach that?
Okay, so here I have a great example. Like this just happened over the weekend. This card right here is a Jalen Hurts Optic Hollow.
Nice.
It's raw. So it's sold between 40 and 70 bucks over a 2-day span. So I'm just like, okay, where's the comp supposed to be at, right? Was a 71 a super clean one? Was the 41 a super dirty one with soft corners, etc.?
Right.
I didn't have the time to dig into them,
Yeah.
into like, let me look at these pictures. Like, no, I didn't have the time to do that. So you just gotta, at that point, what can you agree on with the other person? Okay. Generally speaking, cash value is going to be lower than trade value. So if I'm selling this, if I have it stickered at 50, then I'm going to want to trade at 55, for example. So that's one thing. The second thing is, some people are like, I'm going to stick to the comp. With raw cards, because comps are all over the place, then how are you supposed to stick to the comp, right?
Yeah.
Because with PSA 10, you already know it's a gem mint card. If there's a bunch of PSA 9s, you already know they're mint condition. These raw cards sometimes they're not graded because they're not going to get a 9 or a 10 sometimes, right?
Right.
So, and you just, it's a lot. There's a lot more factors at play with comps for raws than a comp for a specifically graded card. So then it's just, how do we negotiate? Where can we find the middle ground? And sometimes you can't, sometimes you can.
Nice.
And then as anyone, whether you're watching or if you're Cdub, you start building more relationships. People are like, at Cdub, okay, we've done deals in the past. I know you're not gonna twist my arm and squeeze me for every penny. So yeah, I'll come down to this number. Things like that.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I think that's one thing that I want to get better at, is just like I talked about, like building more connections, maybe doing more deals with some of the same people, so that maybe you can kind of get a better deal, you work more with them, have more wiggle room, that type of stuff. But I think it's cool just to kind of even just meet people that you like to deal with, and then kind of just continue to build that trust. Like, hey, like, okay, I feel like like the card professor, like I trust you. I don't need to go in uneasy or need to be worried. So I don't know. I feel like I want to get to that level of building additional relationships where I can deal with people who I trust. So another goal I got to add to the list, man.
I love the goals, and make sure you don't do too many goals, because then you end up spreading yourself too thin, right?
True, definitely. Well, man, we can go ahead and wrap it up. I really just want to say thanks. I really appreciate you joining the live stream. I know it's been a while. We got to let's just stay in touch and plan some more in the future. So really appreciate it. Appreciate everything that you shared and the lesson and everything. Really, really good stuff. And also just want to say really quick, what's up to Zach? Zach joined us here. And then just want to say thanks to everyone else who joined us in the live stream. And with that, Cdub is
out.
all right, man. You take care.